Jack Bobo joins us now. He's the CEO of Futurity, a company that studies food and agriculture trends. Jack, clearly a lot of focus and attention this year on climate change and food insecurity. Talk to us about the connection, the link between these two.
Yeah, well, we have a tremendous problem, especially over the last year. We had about 675 million people who were going to bed hungry in 2019. Obviously way too many, but that number is up to over 800 million people today. And that's largely as a result of COVID, but we also have challenges in terms of drought and severe weather and other things, all of which are impacting our ability to feed the people we have. And of course, we have a couple billion more people coming in the next 30 years. And
tell me how COVID has played a role in all this. I know you just mentioned it, but I'm just curious how the pandemic really changed the dynamics here.
Well, at each step in the global food chain, it's had an impact. So it's had an impact on some people's ability to get the seeds they need in order to be able to plant the seeds. If they did plant the food, to harvest it. If they were able to harvest it, to process it. And if it was processed, make sure that it gets to the grocery stores. And so at each step, there were these problems. And of course, on top of that, many people were out of work. They had to stay home because of COVID. And because of that, they weren't making any money and they weren't able to buy the food they needed. And so in many, many ways, this has just been a disaster in terms of increasing global hunger.
As we heard our correspondent, John Terrett, mention, the UN has pretty lofty ambitions. Those are his words. So what is the best way, or is it realistic to believe that the UN can turn these lofty projections or promises into real action?
Yeah, I mean, it is a tremendous challenge, but you have to think that today 40% of all the land on Earth is already devoted to agriculture. 70% of fresh water is going to agriculture. A third of all greenhouse gases are the result of agriculture. 80% of deforestation. So, if we don't fix agriculture, we can't fix anything. And so it is critical that we focus on this, and we need to produce food in a more sustainable way. And, for 10,000 years, farmers have been asked to produce more and more and more. We're at that one unique moment in time when it's not good enough just to produce more. We have to produce better food that's better for people and better for the planet. And so the time is really right. Over 200 organizations and countries have today made pledges to address this issue. The United States, President Biden talked about an additional $10 billion, 5 million domestically, 5 million internationally. So there are countries that are sort of putting resources and not just words to address this problem.
So when a country as powerful and as large as the United States makes a $10 billion commitment, how does that work? Who does the money go to, Jack?
Yeah, so domestically, it would go to a variety of different programs. Some of it's providing additional assistance to people that are hungry. Some of it's to try to shift the kinds of diets that people have to make them more nutritious. School lunch programs are another example. So there are a variety of ways. When it comes to internationally, that money would go to the U.S. Agency for International Development, and it would be primarily part of the Feed the Future program, which is the signature program of the U.S. government to provide resources and aid overseas, to invest in research and development in order to produce crops more efficiently, more productively, and more nutritiously for people. So a few different ways it would be split up.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Jack Bobo, thank you.